Some things don't want to be seen, and some people see them anyway. Subscribe if you're ready to hear what they saw. I was 7 when we moved into that old house at the end of the gravel road. My parents said it was temporary, just for the summer, until the new place was ready. But to me, the weathered white house with its sagging porch and creaking floors felt like it had always been waiting for us. The paint was peeling, the windows rattled with every gust of wind, and at night, the wind made the wooden floorboards moan like the house itself was alive, breathing, watching. There wasn't much to do out there. No neighbors, no internet, nothing but the endless forest stretching behind the house, the trees thick and tangled like a dark sea. I mostly kept to myself, wandering the woods barefoot, chasing shadows and shapes that danced just beyond the light. When the summer sun burned too hot, I found refuge in the attic, dusty and dim, filled with forgotten trunks and old furniture. The attic became my sanctuary, my secret place away from everything. That's where I first heard her. It started with a whisper behind the attic door. Not the big one that led upstairs, but a second, smaller door built into the wall, hidden behind a broken bookshelf. I hadn't even noticed it at first. The shelf was heavy, cracked, and falling apart. And one day, while playing hide-and-seek with myself, I pushed it aside and saw the little door. It was narrow, no taller than me, painted a chipped red that looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. The handle was rusted and cold. When I tried to open it, it didn't budge. That night, just as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard a soft knock, 3 quick taps. I sat bolt upright in bed. Another knock, quieter this time. Then, a girl's voice, trembling and soft. "Are you still there?" I froze. My heart hammered in my chest. I told my parents the next morning. They laughed it off, saying it was probably an animal or the house settling. My dad grumbled about old houses creaking and groaning. But I knew better. Animals don't whisper your name, and houses don't ask questions. Over the next few weeks, the knocks grew more frequent. Always in threes. Always at night, just after I was about to fall asleep. She kept asking the same question. "Are you still there?" One night, feeling braver, I whispered back, "Who are you?" A long pause. Then a trembling voice, so faint it sent chills down my spine. "I used to live here. My name is Lila. Please don't leave me." I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding, imagining a pale girl standing just beyond the door, watching me with hollow eyes. The next day, I decided to tell my mom again. She smiled gently and stroked my hair. "It's just your imagination, sweetie," she said, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. There was a flicker of something else, sadness, fear. I couldn't tell. That night, armed with a flashlight, I crept into the attic after everyone else was asleep. I sat cross-legged on the dusty floor, staring at the little red door. Minutes passed like hours. Then I heard it, a soft scratching like nails on wood from the other side. Then, "I can hear you breathing." My hand trembled as I dropped the flashlight. The beam flickered and caught something, a pale, small hand retreating from under the door. I scrambled backward, heart pounding, and ran out of the attic without looking back. For days, I avoided the attic entirely. I kept my bedroom door shut tight, pulled the blankets over my head, and prayed the noises would stop. But the knocks came every night. The question never changed. "Are you still there?" One evening, my mom asked me to help her find some old boxes in the attic. I begged her not to make me go. Finally, I broke down and told her everything. The voice, the door, the hand. She froze, eyes wide. Then, almost in a whisper, she said, "You weren't supposed to find that door." She didn't explain. Not that day, not for the rest of the summer. But I noticed things. My parents exchanged quick, worried glances whenever I mentioned the attic. One night, I caught my dad trying to nail the door shut. When I asked him why, he just said, "For safety." But later, when I sneaked back up, the door was open just a crack, enough for a pair of dark eyes to peer out. One night, the voice changed. It wasn't the soft whisper I'd come to expect. It was louder, sharper, angry. "Why won't you play with me anymore? You promised you'd be my friend. Don't leave me again." That last word echoed in my mind. Again. I shivered, wondering how she could know I wanted to leave. During the last week in the house, something happened that I still can't explain. I woke up in the middle of the night to find my bedroom door wide open. The hallway was swallowed in darkness, but I could hear something moving, a slow, dragging sound across the wooden floorboards. I held my breath, frozen with fear. Then a whisper right next to my ear. "I know where you sleep now." I screamed and scrambled out of bed. My parents came running. I couldn't stop shaking. My mom hugged me tightly, whispering soothing words I barely heard. Then she said something I will never forget. She always had a hard time letting go. We left the next morning. No packing, no golonbis, just gone. My parents never spoke about that house again. Years passed. I told myself it was all just a dream, an overactive child's imagination fueled by loneliness and shadows. But something always gnawed at me, an uneasy feeling that I never really left that house behind. Until last week, I was flipping through old family photo albums at my mom's place when I found something I'd never seen before. A Polaroid, yellowed with age, tucked between pictures from that summer. It was taken in the attic. The red door was wide open, and behind it, just barely visible, was a little girl, pale with dark hair and wide black eyes that seemed to pierce right through the photo. On the back, written in my mother's handwriting, "Lila, age 6. I turned to my mom, heart pounding, holding the photo with trembling hands. She stared at it for a long time, then whispered, "I had a sister once. She died in that house before you were born. You look so much like her." I left without saying goodbye. That night, I lay in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling. At exactly 3:07 a.m., I heard again 3 soft knocks from the wall behind my bed, and then, in a voice that sounded like a long-forgotten dream, "Are you still there?" When I was 8 years old, my cousins and I invented a game we called Mirror Walk. It started as a joke during one of those long summer weeks when we were stuck at our grandmother's creaky old house with no internet and barely any supervision. She lived in a farmhouse outside town, the kind of place where the windows whined in the wind and the floorboards remembered every step you took. The rules were simple. Wait until night, turn off all the lights, and walk from the living room to the upstairs bathroom using only a hand mirror. You had to hold the mirror under your chin, angled so that you could see behind you, but only behind you. No flashlights, no looking forward, and no talking. We came up with the idea after watching a horror movie we weren't supposed to. In the movie, the characters saw something in the mirror that wasn't in the room. That sparked the game, but we didn't really believe anything would happen. It was just a way to scare ourselves in the safety of our grandmother's house. The first night we tried it, my cousin Mark went first. He was 13 and always trying to show off. He made it to the bathroom and back, laughing the whole time. Then Ellie went. She was 11 and a little more nervous. She made it halfway up the stairs before turning back, claiming she tripped on something. By the time it was my turn, my heart was pounding, but I was too stubborn to back out. I remember how cold the mirror felt in my hand, how my eyes adjusted to the deep blue black of the unlit hallway. I took my first step, seeing only the reflection of my cousins, and the living room behind me. About 5 steps in, things felt wrong. The air seemed heavier, and the silence was pressing against my ears. In the mirror, the living room faded from view, replaced by the hallway shadows. Then I saw it. Just behind me, in the mirror, was a figure. I froze. It looked like a person, but there was no color to it. Just a pale, featureless shape standing at the base of the stairs. I wanted to turn around. My mind screamed to break the rules and just look, but something deeper, more instinctual, told me not to. I dropped the mirror and bolted forward into the dark, slamming into the staircase and scraping my knee. My cousins laughed when I came back, breathless and pale, but I could tell Ellie was uneasy too. I saw something. I whispered to her later when we were brushing our teeth. She didn't laugh. Me too. It followed me. That should have been the end of it, but kids are stupid. The next night, Mark insisted we play again. We all saw something, didn't we? He asked, trying to sound brave, but clearly rattled. Maybe that's the point of the game. So we played again, and each time the figure got closer. It became a ritual. Every night before bed, we'd wait until the house was quiet, grab the mirror, and walk the path. Every night, we'd see the same pale figure in the mirror, standing, watching a little closer than before. By the 4th night, none of us wanted to do it, but no one wanted to be the one who backed out. That night, when I held the mirror, I didn't see the hallway behind me. I saw a room I didn't recognize. It looked like a basement with stone walls and chains hanging from the ceiling. The pale figure wasn't just standing, it was moving toward me. I screamed, dropped the mirror, and refused to play again. That broke the spell, in a way. We stopped playing. None of us talked about it again, and when the summer ended, we all went back to our homes. I didn't visit that house again for a long time. Years passed. I grew up, and so did my cousins. We chalked it up to childhood imagination, mass hysteria, and boredom. But then, last year, my grandmother passed away. The house was left to my mother, and I returned there one last time to help clean it out. I hadn't been inside since I was a kid. Everything felt smaller than I remembered. The stairs creaked the same way. The wallpaper was more faded, but the heavy silence was still there. While sorting boxes in the hallway closet, I found it. The mirror. It was old, dusty, with a cracked frame and specks on the glass. My stomach sank. I hadn't thought about mirror walk in years, but just holding it brought back everything. Out of some strange, stupid impulse, I brought it upstairs with me. I turned off the lights, angled the mirror under my chin, and stared into it. Nothing, just the hallway behind me, empty and dim. I allowed a nervous laugh. See? I whispered, all in our heads. Then I took a step forward. Just one. The lights flickered. The hallway and the mirror changed. I wasn't seeing my reflection anymore. It was the basement again. The chains. The stone walls. And in the center, not a pale figure, but a door. The same red door from all those years ago, the one that had never really been in the house. I dropped the mirror. It didn't shatter, but the frame cracked even more. I left the house that night and didn't go back. 2 weeks later, Mark called me out of nowhere. We hadn't spoken in years. His voice was shaking. Did you go back to the house? I swallowed. Yeah. What? I think it followed you. My breath caught. I've been seeing it. In reflections. Not always. Just sometimes. Windows. Screens. Even water. What do you mean? The basement. The door. It's back. He hung up before I could ask more. Since then, I've caught glimpses too. In mirrors, mostly. A shadow, a flicker, a figure at the edge of vision. We don't talk about it, Ellie and I. She won't even answer my calls anymore. But I know she sees it too. That game, we made it up, but it was never just a game. Something answered us. And now, it's waiting behind every reflection for someone else to play. When I was 9, my little brother, Charlie, started talking to someone who wasn't there. He was 5 at the time, a chubby, sweet kid who still had trouble saying his R's. We just moved into a new house on the edge of a small town, a weird, lopsided old place with stained wallpaper and a creaky attic. Our parents bought it cheap, calling it a fixer-upper, but even then, I remember feeling cold the first time we stepped inside. It wasn't the kind of chill that came from the drafty windows. It was the kind that made the hair on your arms stand up. Charlie, on the other hand, loved the place instantly. On our first day, he ran through the halls like he was exploring a castle. That night, while we were brushing our teeth in our shared bathroom, he told me, "Tommy likes the house too." I looked at him. "Who's Tommy?" "My new friend," he said with a smile, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Our parents thought it was cute. Lots of kids have imaginary friends. Mom said, "It's a sign of creativity." But something about the way Charlie talked about Tommy made me uneasy. For one, he said Tommy lived in the attic. We weren't allowed up there. Dad had boarded it shut the day we moved in. "Too dangerous," he said. "Rotten wood, rusty nails." But Charlie swore that he and Tommy talked through the ceiling. Then there were the drawings. Crayon sketches of stick figures, Charlie and Tommy standing side by side. But while Charlie was colored in bright yellows and blues, Tommy was always gray, scribbled in thick, erratic strokes. A flat oval face with no mouth, just hollow black circles for eyes. I still remember the first time I truly felt scared. It was maybe 2 weeks after we moved in. I woke up to the sound of scratching, soft and rhythmic like fingernails on wood. I sat up in bed and looked around. Charlie was asleep in his bed across the room. The sound was coming from above us. The attic. I climbed out of bed and tiptoed to the hallway. The ceiling above the hallway stairs had a small hatch with a pull cord. I stood under it, heart pounding, listening. The scratching stopped. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I asked Charlie if he'd heard anything. He just grinned and said, "Tommy's shy when you're awake." I started paying more attention after that. Watching Charlie, watching the house, I noticed he was talking to himself more, whispering while he played. Sometimes he'd go quiet and nod, like he was listening. Other times he'd laugh at nothing. Once I caught him staring at the wall in the hallway, eyes wide and unblinking for a full 5 minutes. I told my mom. She said it was a phase. Then things got worse. Charlie started sleepwalking. I found him one night at the bottom of the stairs, muttering. When I touched his shoulder, he jerked awake and started crying. "I don't want to go to the attic anymore," he sobbed. "But you never went," I said. "It's locked." He just cried harder. A few nights later, I woke up and found him standing in front of the attic door. It had been pried open, the nails sticking out like splinters. Charlie's hand was on the knob. I pulled him away and shut the door again. The next morning, when I told our parents, Dad blamed the wind for loosening the boards. But Charlie's drawings changed after that. He stopped coloring himself. Both figures were gray now, their eyes empty. One drawing had the two of them standing in the attic, looking down at a third, smaller stick figure in a bed. That was me. I started sleeping with a flashlight under my pillow. Then one night, I woke up to Charlie screaming. I ran to his bed, and he was thrashing, shouting, No, I don't want to, and please don't take her." It took both Mom and Dad to calm him down. He wouldn't tell us what the dream was, but he wouldn't sleep alone after that. He started getting sick, nosebleeds, nightmares. He got quieter during the day and more agitated at night. He began hiding under the covers during thunderstorms, mumbling things I couldn't understand. The worst moment came 3 weeks later. We had a big thunderstorm and the power went out. Candles lit the halls with shaky yellow light. I was in the kitchen with Mom when we heard something thump upstairs. Dad went to check. A minute later, he screamed. We rushed up and found Charlie halfway up the attic stairs. The hatch was wide open. He was floating, not flying, just hanging there, suspended a foot off the wooden steps like something had him by the chest and was lifting him upward. His eyes were rolled back. His mouth was open, and he was making a low, groaning sound like a death rattle. Dad grabbed him and pulled him down. The moment his feet hit the floor, he collapsed. His face was pale. He couldn't remember anything. Just said, "Tommy told me it's time." That night, my parents sealed the attic shut with bolts and a heavy-duty lock. We moved out 2 weeks later. We never talked about what happened again. Charlie stopped mentioning Tommy. His drawings went back to normal. No more gray figures. No more hollow eyes. But he was never quite the same. He grew up anxious, avoided mirrors, couldn't sleep in rooms with ceiling hatches. Wouldn't explain why. Now, as an adult, I try to rationalize it. Sleep disorders, stress, childhood trauma, all the usual explanations. I wanted to believe that Tommy had been just a product of imagination in a creaky old house. But 2 months ago, our dad passed away. Mom sold a house soon after. Last week, out of morbid curiosity, I drove past it. It's still standing. Same sagging porch. Same tilted roof. But something had changed. There were drawings taped to the upstairs windows. Crayon sketches, just like Charlie's. One of them showed 2 gray stick figures. And this time there was a third, standing between them. Its eyes weren't empty. They were red. If you're still here, you're braver than most. Don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Hauntline for more chilling encounters like these. Leave a comment if you've ever experienced something unexplainable. Until next time, keep your doors locked and your lights low.